cash the way you.
Let's talk about.
You'll also be able to tell your kids that you were there when they took away the paper dollar and coins in favor of a U.S. digital currency. And you'd be correct, because 50 days from now, the United States dollar changes forever. That's right, in July. And just 3 weeks ago, the U.S. Federal Reserve started the process, the rollout of this new central bank digital U.S. dollar. The full rollout happens in July. So guess what? On July 4th, on Independence Day, we can celebrate losing our freedom. This is not hyperbole. Your freedom to use cash the way you want to is going to change forever. Just like what Europe did a few weeks ago, making it illegal to spend cash over $1,000 or 1,000 euros. You can't use 1,000 euros to pay cash. Maybe you want to get some trees removed in your yard and you want to pay the gardener to do that. You can't pay him in cash anymore. Can you imagine? Think that's fake news? Here's the head of the European Central Bank, Christine Lagarde, explaining it.
No, the problem is they don't want to be controlled. They don't want to.
Yeah, but you know what? Now we have in Europe this threshold. Above 1,000 euros, you cannot pay cash. If you do, you are on the gray market. You take your risk. You get caught, you are fined, or you go in jail.
So no biggie. You can't spend your own money without the government tracking you, and you can go to jail for it. In the United States, it's called the FedNow program, and it'll replace paper currency, which this week became even more worthless. It'll move the United States to a cashless society, a total surveillance state where every transaction will be tracked. Where, as the Fed describes it, money that's in your account could even expire and become unusable. Just like that Olive Garden gift card that you got that one time that you never used. One day you go to buy some bottomless breadsticks and pasta and the gift card won't work. Expired. Where'd that money go? It's gone. You can read how the Fed actually plans to use expiring money right on the Fed's website. China's already doing it. And the World Economic Forum billionaires have repeatedly said they want to model the banking system and the surveillance state after what China is doing.
So we have to define how the world should look like, which we want to come out of this transformation period. I respect China's achievements, which are tremendous over the last over 40 years. I think it's a role model for many countries.
There's a level of admiration I actually have for China because their basic dictatorship is allowing them to actually turn their economy around on a dime.
So yeah, they love what China's doing. Many U.S. government museums, national parks, historical sites are no longer accepting paper dollars. Want to go to any number of government museums? Sorry, no cash allowed. Mount Rainier National Park? Sorry, no cash allowed. We only accept digital. And many American businesses have already gone cashless. They pretend it's all about convenience, but of course it's all about control. And this week, we saw the clearest indication that control is the primary model, as more small banks across the United States teeter on the cusp of collapse. And when they collapse, they'll be swallowed up by one or two of the biggest banks in the world, rolled into that massive beast of JP Morgan Chase, which of course is an extension of the world's central banks. Guys, this is all happening right now. And even mainstream economists who have been lying to you for months or even years about how good the economy was, and it's all peachy and there's no inflation, they're finally admitting that we are facing a shitstorm. Paul Krugman loved to tell us how inflation was exaggerated and the Fed spending was no big deal. Then the evidence hit them over the head, and they have to admit what we've been warning you about for a year on this show, that inflation is here to stay for a long time. The days of free money are over, and the chickens are now coming home to roost. Powell also said that the banks are fine, nothing to worry about. I just about spit out my iced tea when he said this lie.
But he specifically said the banking system is sound and resilient and strong.
Liz, I've heard so many times since the first of Silicon Valley Bank, the banking system is fine, the banking system is stable. And then when we heard on Monday, First Republic has been bought by JP Morgan, then look what happened yesterday. I mean, you had some of the banks, PacWest down 25%, Western Alliance down 20%, the KBW index down 7, 8, 9%. Liz, it's not over by a long shot.
He's right. The banks are not fine. Last night, Saturday, we got word that hedge funds are so scared of America's banking collapse that they're moving into European banks, buying up European bonds. That's how crazy it is right now. They'd actually trust Europe over the United States. And the credit crunch is just in the beginning phase right now. The next comes the collapse of these small banks. The Fed is trapped in a corner, guys, and that means they are facing a financial crisis unlike anything we've ever seen before. Let me lay it out for you. Over 50% of all American banks are insolvent, according to a report out this week. That means your money is not safe in these small banks, and they all know it. So here's what's about to happen. JP Morgan Chase will start buying up all of these smaller banks for pennies on the dollar. Then as the crash accelerates, we now expect Powell and the Fed to pump billions of stimulus into the failing system, even further crashing the US dollar. But as Brandon Smith reports, it's too late because now the national debt is over $34 trillion. There's simply no room left for absorbing a massive amount of additional debt as the banks collapse. So this is exactly what happened in 2008, but they didn't prepare this time. And now the Fed is trapped. Cutting rates means prices will skyrocket, so you're going to see prices continuing to go up at your grocery store. And if they keep things where they are, the banks will collapse as they are right now. So the banks are collapsing, and they're going to keep these rates where they are. But here's the real story, guys. Two things. This whole collapse benefits the billionaires. They want the control, the centralization of your currency. That's why the digital dollar rollout in the next few weeks is so powerful. This is perfect for these guys, but not for you and me, of course. That's why this weekend gold is going bananas. Smart investors who don't want the World Economic Forum controlling their wallets poured out of the US dollar and into gold. This week we saw a new all-time high for gold. Gold is now worth more than over 70 government currencies around the world. Think about that. These governments don't want you to buy gold, but they themselves are stockpiling gold. How's that for ironic, right? This week, central banks bought a record amount of gold, and yet they'd rather have you not buying it. It's why I'm buying as much gold and real estate as I can afford right now. It's something I've been doing for years to protect my family. You'll also be